Hello, I am Desiree Vargas-Wrigley, Executive Director of TechRise. For those of you new to this today, TechRise is an initiative started in partnership between P33 and Verizon to help support Black and Latinx founders all the way from idea stage to exit. So each week we have 3 to 5 founders take the stage. They pitch to a panel of 3 judges for over 4 minutes. They have a few minutes of Q&A, and then the judges deliberate real time to decide who wins $20,000. Today's $20,000 is sponsored by both Get Cities and Melinda Gates Initiative here in Chicago, focused on gender equality in tech, and Comcast. So thank you to both of our sponsors for that. And we've been pulling the numbers to see how we're doing as a city in terms of funding women and Black and Latinx founders. And something that we just recently learned is a pretty depressing statistic, actually. So while we've made a lot of progress for Black and Latinx founders, what we haven't done is made progress for women in Chicago. Historically, about 17 or 18% of our early stage funding has gone to women founders here. And as of year to date this year, we are looking at like 7.9% for women in Chicago. But women in Chicago start 35% of the businesses. And so what that says is we're a great place to start businesses, but not a great place to fund businesses if you're a woman. And that's why we're working on things like this. So far, 60% of our TechRise founders that have won have been women. And we need more of them to come to the stage so we can continue to help push them forward and support their visions and their dreams. So we're so grateful to all of our sponsors so far and all of the women who've been brave enough to come on stage and the ones that we're about to see today. And with that, I would love to welcome our judges to the stage and thank them for the generosity of their time with us today. So first we have Stephen Galanis, founder and CEO of Cameo. Stephen is passionate about building strong, lasting relationships predicated on integrity, respect, and mutual trust. And his passion for connecting people led him to found Cameo, a marketplace where fans can book personalized video shoutouts from their favorite people with Martin Blenko and Devin Townsend. Recognized as one of Hollywood's top innovators by THR, the Hollywood Reporter, Stephen has been named 40 Under 40 by Crain's, Business Innovator of the Year by Chicago Inno, and he received unicorn status this year, which is so exciting. One of our first unicorns of the year, I think, in 2021. He's raised over $165 million in venture capital from some of the top investors in the world. And Stephen also is a very just generous contributor to our ecosystem, advising founders along the way, and also plays a crucially important role as a consumer-based founder in Chicago, which we don't have a lot of, and reaching that unicorn status. So Stephen, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next, we have Janine Sua, born to Jamaican parents who migrated to the United States. Janine prides herself on being a global citizen who speaks 3 languages, dances salsa and samba, and has shared meals with strangers in nearly 20 countries. Janine's mission is to increase access to capital for underrepresented founders. She loves connecting the dots and has assumed that role through her work as an edtech founder at Find App, a venture capital scout at Florida Funders, and city and venture partner at WeFunder. A city advocate at Right to Start, and a venture partner at Microventure Funding. So great to have you here, Janine. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
And then finally, we have Priya Parrish. She's a partner and chief investment officer at Impact Engine. Priya is responsible for fund and co-investment sourcing, diligence, and management. She's also a member of the investment committee. Priya is an adjunct assistant professor of strategy and impact investor in residence at the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business. And she serves as an advisor to investment firms and asset owners, developing and managing impact investment strategies. So thank you all for being here. You will have a very tough job, I can tell from these founders today, but we'll see you back in a little bit after we welcome our first founders to the stage. All right, and with that, we are going to bring Anna DeShawn on with E3 Radio. Judges, you can go video off while she goes. All right, Anna, we can see it. Oh, wait, you're muted though.
All right, thanks, Desiree.
You're good to go.
Greetings, and thank you for this opportunity to pitch today. Have you ever been this red peg, walked into the room and been the only one of you in a space? Well, as a Black queer woman, this is my reality. Organizations, systems, media apps, they aren't built or designed with me in mind. And let me tell you more. Here's a snapshot of queer media today, all wonderful in their own rights, but none of them center the experiences of queer trans people of color. Now, is this because QT POC folks don't exist? Absolutely not. Now, here's a snapshot of the top 50 podcasts across Spotify. Now, across these 50, there are over 100 hosts, and only 7 identify as Black, Indigenous, or a person of color. Now, is this because BIPOC folks aren't creating podcasts? No. This is all due to a lack of investment and visibility for BIPOC and QTPOC creatives in these spaces. And I'm here to change that with the Qube, a curated destination of music and podcasts by QTPOC and BIPOC creatives. One of my favorite quotes says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. I believe we've brought our chairs, and now it's time for us to build our own tables. I'm Anna DeShawn, a Chicago-born social entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in radio and podcasting. In 2009, I started E3 Radio. We're an online radio station playing queer and independent music in high rotation, intentionally centering experiences of the Black queer community. With over 300,000 listens, our supporters always ask us, how do we listen on the go? So me and the team knew we needed to create an app, and we had to include podcasting. So with E3 Radio and podcasting, we get the Qube, an app where our listeners can tune in to E3 Radio on the go, a place where podcast listeners can choose not only their topics and categories, but also their identities. And we're going to be able to serve up society and culture by Black queer creatives. Or how about family, Latinx, Spanish-speaking podcasts? Now, for our creatives, we want to put money in their pockets. Users will be able to tip their creators right from our app. And once we have enough data, we're going to be able to roll out a really robust ad revenue sharing program to put even more money into their pockets. Now, you know from your own experience, and I know from the data, that audio is booming right now. It's projected to be a $14 billion industry this year, and projections show that listenership is just going to continue to grow 27% year over year through 2026. And there's this huge, big blue ocean of a market whose needs are not being addressed, and we're here to fix that. Now, reaching the community that we want to reach, we have to build trust. Communities who have been systematically excluded have to believe in you. And so we're doing that by building relationships with these podcast networks, conferences, and communities who are nurturing BIPOC and QTPOC creatives in music and podcasting. Here's a snapshot of some of our current partners. We're also very aware from Nielsen that podcast advertising is incredibly effective. 61% of podcast listeners actually act on podcast advertising. So we plan on investing a lot of money into advertising the Qube on podcasts that are actually going to be inside of the app. To date, we've had amazing success. We raised $74,000 for our crowdfunding campaign. We just received $50,000 for the Field Foundation to produce podcasts in 2022. And we just brought on a podcast curation manager to oversee our process. We are in development. We plan to drop beta in December and launch exclusive content in March of 2022. Help us turn these blue pegs red. Help us bring the Qube to the marketplace and prove that inclusiveness isn't just a good thing to do. It's good business too. I look forward to answering questions about what we do with the money, our adoption strategy, curation process, and more. Thank you so much.
Great job, Anna. And then with that, I'll bring the judges on. Thanks.
Hey, Anna.
Hello, hello.
And a great pitch. I loved it. Tell me a little bit about getting started on this. What's going to be harder, finding the listeners or finding the talent? What's your plan to address?
Yeah, well, I think that the toughest part is going to be building trust, right? That people choose us because we're going to create great content. So we're not looking to be another search engine or directory with millions of podcasts. I want to have the best podcast. It's going to be about quality over quantity, and that's what's going to make us different. So I think if we go to the podcast networks and these communities who have already built trust and they introduce us to their communities, that's going to be our first way to get listenership. And as far as the actual creatives, they're excited. Everyone I talk to, they are like, this is what we need. We need another place where we can be centered, because discoverability in some of these other apps has been really challenging for them.
Thank you.
Hi, Anna. Great presentation. A question that maybe has two sides to it. One is how many of the content creators are you kind of like anticipating will be exclusive to the Qube versus also be available on other platforms. Because, and this is kind of the second part of my question, like the end goal here is obviously you want people to come and stay on the Qube. But on the other hand, if we're actually trying to transform kind of media and get these content creators and creatives more widely available and distributed, you actually want it to be on other platforms and not only the Qube.
Agreed. So not initially, we aren't trying to get exclusivity from other creatives in the space. What we want to do is create our own exclusive content to show what's possible. So our first podcast that we're creating is called Second Sunday. It was talking about the intersections of Black queer folks in the church. It's going to be incredibly powerful. Then we're doing another exclusive podcast called Beyond Queer Stories, hosted by two Black trans men talking about life outside of just being Black and trans in America. And then we're doing another one about prison abolition, the journey of someone who's not an abolitionist and someone who is, right? So exclusivity for other creatives is really tough. It also costs a lot of money. So it's not our first entryway into this space, but I think there are ways for us to bring little excerpts of our exclusive content to other platforms and drive people to the Qube.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Anna. Great presentation. My question mainly centers around the revenue stream. I know ads take some sort of establishing of credibility so that you can prove like viewership or listenership when it comes to partners. Have you thought about other ways of generating revenue, especially since you're going to be allowing your listeners to tip the creators?
Yes. So because of our social angle, our revenue streams are really varied. So it's not just advertising and sponsors like traditional media outlets. We also have grants, for example, like the Field Foundation, because of our social angle, right? We also have people who give to us every single month because they just believe in what we do. But I think the other angle here is events, right? So we have concerts. And I think that bringing podcasters to events and into spaces, even in the name of COVID, all right, I think it's possible and another potential revenue stream for us.
Great. Excellent job, Anna. Thank you so much. And next, we're going to invite Mural City on, and we have Clarissa Fletcher joining us. All right, we can see you.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have slides? We can't quite see them yet if you do. Do you want to just get started or do you need them? You know what, we can come back to you actually. Do you want us to do that?
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Do you want us to, why don't you go see if you can fix it and we'll invite Better App on with Madilynn, Beck. Okay. Madilynn, when you're ready, can you come on? Thanks. Clarissa, go ahead and go video off until you're ready to go. Madilynn, thanks.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see your slides. So you're ready to go whenever you're ready.
All right, great. Hey, y'all. I am Madilynn A. Beck. I'm the founder and CEO and psychotherapist at the Better App. We're the first ever social and professional network for holistic wellness professionals. As someone who ethically stands outside of the medical industrial complex, I'm very well aware that the system wasn't built for me, but it does, however, require I operate inside of it. While I will assume that you may not be a holistic practitioner, I'll make a safe assumption that you can relate to what it feels like to exist in a system, not because we want to, but because we have no other option. 2020 shone a brutal light on one of our culture's most glaring failures. Today's system of support for non-medical wellness professionals isn't broken, it's just non-existent. We are in a time of huge wins for wellness. Almost all of the world uses holistic medicine. Out of 9 million apps available, 300,000 are health and wellness, and there's 50% of that market segment that's being overlooked. If those apps support the users, then who's supporting the practitioners? Around the world, our healers are in pain. 98% of the holistic industry is comprised of small businesses, and those businesses depend on local connections, not on global reach. Everybody's not an expert, Yet, open communities make way for misinformation and toxic environments. Secure information exchange doesn't exist in social media network platforms. It jeopardizes our licenses and certifications and our client relationships, AKA our livelihood. So, where is the tech for the other half of the market? Our solution isn't good, it's better. The Better app allows wellness professionals to build community, access verified resources, and increase client flow in the palm of their hand. We do this through AI and geolocation, through verified resources, jobs, and HIPAA compliant information exchange. How we do it is pretty simple. We are a freemium model, a SaaS model, or a WAS model, as I like to call it, Wellness as a Subscription Service, offering 3 levels of accessibility, all within the cost-conscious reach of an independent small business owner. Our market potential is thriving. Our bottom-up approach highlights the $2.4 billion market of holistic practitioners across 15 modalities. So the word opportunity is an understatement. The Better app is the only community that values practitioners. Unlike what's currently available, we're supporting a super niche community equipped with all the integral features that are overlooked by client-centric technology. So, why us now? Because health is not a trend, but it is trending. Since our birth in 2018, the global wellness economy has grown nearly twice as fast as a global economic growth. And in that time, we've conducted extensive market research, seen 30% month over month increase in our site traffic, and we've scheduled a private beta launch for our MVP this winter. As an early stage startup, our power will be in bringing the market to us. Through our digital marketing strategies, capitalizing on the dire need for community, we'll host wellness retreats and professional development in person and virtually. We'll take to social media with targeted Pinterest content campaigns and IG Live discussions. And we'll garner sponsorships with brands looking to reach our coveted audience. Our power is that we have a team with a healer at the helm. I'm a CEO and NASDAQ recognized entrepreneur and a psychotherapist, solving a perennial problem with the empathy of a shared experience. In addition, my team has 68 years of industry leadership in everything from startup law to international audience development. An invention has to make sense in the world it finishes in, not in the world it started. So let's go out and make some shift happen, y'all. Thanks so much.
Great job, Madilynn. All right,
Thank you.
judges, you want to come and ask some questions? Let's do the same order. Stephen, mind going first?
I was going to say ladies first. Sorry, I jumped in too quick last time.
I can go. I'm a little confused, to be honest. So is it a community and a marketplace where practitioners can access like continuing education and community, or like, okay, just wanted to make sure.
Sure. Yeah.
My question is, out of all the research you did, what do you think is going to be the core driver of practitioners to the site? Is it more the jobs and something tangible, or more of a sense of community? And have you considered something like, what's the most difficult? For example, could you somehow provide shared insurance? Because a lot of wellness practitioners don't have insurance, or something else, you know?
Sure. So the biggest thing that a lot of practitioners, based on all the customer discovery that we've done over the past few years, has been the verifiable resources aspect. So essentially like the safety of information within the community. There have been so many different communities, especially obviously in light of COVID, where you have a digital space, you make the assumption that everyone in that digital space is qualified to say or do the things that they're doing, and they're not. So the verification aspect is really important and very valued by that customer base. In addition to that, yes, obviously the jobs, the kind of job mecca perspective of it, having jobs that are targeted to that audience are really, really attractive. And then the ability, probably I would say the number one would be the ability to share that HIPAA compliant, safe information. So information exchange for holistic practitioners as well as medical practitioners, although holistic is our niche. Sharing that information is super important because it does directly jeopardize. I mean, everything from text messages to sending Amazon links for books or resources to client, and client information in between that community is super important.
Madilynn, I loved your pitch, loved your energy. You're clearly brilliant. I am still struggling to understand exactly 5 years from now, if this works in a big way, like how is the world different for the folks in the network? And very specifically, I think we're trying to attack a lot of different things right here. What must you get right first to put you on that path to success? Like, what's the killer first feature? And I'll give you a quick example from Cameo. The larger idea is to create the marketplace where for X amount of money, you could do Y activity with Z person. And 5 years in, we're just starting to do the second and third Y activity. And it feels like you're trying to do a lot here. If you were, breaking the larger vision down into the most immediate next steps, like what must you accomplish, in year one to be on that 5-year track?
Sure. And awesome breakdown, by the way. I appreciate that, how you kind of struck the question. So the very first one, the biggest one is the primary feature rollout, which is that HIPAA compliant information exchange. So essentially the way that feature works is just think of baseball cards as in private profiles of a practitioner's client being a baseball card and being able to securely and digitally transfer that information to another practitioner that potentially the client could benefit from. So I'm a therapist. So if I had a client who was going through something involving trauma, right? Somatic therapy or body work really helps them. If there was another practitioner in the platform, say a chiropractor or a massage therapist, I could send them that electronic baseball card immediately and securely without having to have the client jump through a bunch of hoops, so on and so forth. So that's going to be the biggest fish to fry. Our development team are a bunch of rock stars. So I have confidence in them. I'm also a founder, so I have endless confidence to begin with. But yeah, that's the number one for sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great job, Madilynn. And thanks for stepping up in ahead of order a little bit.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get Clarissa back on pretty soon. But next I'm going to invite Resette to join us and Whitney McElwain. All right, we can see you, but not your slides yet.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. 1 second, just pulling them up. There we go, can you see them now?
Yep, you're good to go.
Great. Well, hi everyone, I'm Whitney and I'm the founder and CEO of Resette, and thank you so much for your time today. I want to first ground us in a quick stat. The average woman spends over $225,000 on beauty over the course of her lifetime. This means that she could take that money and pay full college tuition at an Ivy League school. But here's the kicker. What's worse is that she isn't even using 90% of the products. We spoke to over 1,200 women. They told us they aren't using the products on their shelves, and their top goal is to minimize steps. But the beauty industry is telling us to wear more steps and more products to fit unrealistic and idealistic beauty standards. Our customers, though, they want to wear less and benefit more. They struggle with a multi-step routine, and coming out of COVID are really taking back ownership of the relationship with their skin. This is what we heard from community groups directly, where we've already built a waitlist of over 1,280 customers. So currently, they're using multiple skincare serums, moisturizer, sunscreen, plus their makeup. We take all of these steps and replace it with one multi-benefiting product. We're Resette, and we created a new category we call skinwear. We're the first to custom blend makeup and skincare into one easy step. Our first product is a clean makeup formula with dermatologist approved and clinically proven skincare ingredients at active levels, meaning at concentrations that are high enough to penetrate the skin and effectively deliver benefits. We then are able to personalize to their skin type and goals through our tech product. This is how it works. We're launching with a D2C subscription business model. And the first step on the site is our skin quiz, which feeds our recommendation engine. Once matched to their formula, customers are able to subscribe and check out. We're positioned competitively. Current brands are adding cleaner ingredients, and we dial that up one step further to active levels for a true makeup and skincare hybrid. And then through personalization, which has been untapped in makeup, we're able to deliver on our promise of one easy step. And here's the team that's ready to launch Resette. So I myself have 12 years of experience in consumer marketing. I built a D2C e-commerce business to $2.5 million in ARR in its first 18 months. And I have industry expertise from working at personalized skincare startup Curology. Vina, my co-founder and our COO, has experience assembling supply chains at early stage consumer startups. And she's previously a chemical engineer running manufacturing ops and leading regulatory compliance. And to help us finalize our product, we've already worked with over 50 diverse target consumers for our first beta cohort. They provide us comprehensive feedback weekly, everything from user experience to our product and packaging to inform our launch. As well, we've gained traction to validate our customer acquisition strategy through paid social and search. We beat beauty industry benchmarks, meaning we paid less and customers watch longer and click through more. And so I leverage that as well as my marketing experience, press contacts, and micro-influencer network for intentional go-to-market. Love to zoom into this plan further with you. We've already started to gain momentum by building that waitlist community of over 1,280 customers and growing. Our unit economics are strong. Our price of $39.50 is based on the willingness to pay from our customers. Our cost of goods and our customer acquisition costs here are actuals, and we get to a 12-month LTV over CAC of 4.34. We're excited to go Reset. Long-term, we see great potential for an exit with one of the top 7 beauty conglomerates at a revenue multiple of 5 to 8x based on recent transactions. And now we're ready to launch. So out of the 20,000 in funds, 5 will be used to finalize our UX UI and our recommendation engine to hit our milestone of launching in the spring. 15 will be used to acquire our first 500 customers, returning 87,000 in 12-month revenue that will be funneled back into the business, helping us to gain traction from this initial cohort of customers for our first quarter milestone. Join us to build Reset because we truly believe that you should never again put something on your skin that isn't benefiting you. Thanks.
Great job, Whitney. So judges, you can come back on. Priya, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I'm going to be the skeptic. I agree with all the you know, the whole beauty industry. This is, I feel like it's like a problem for women. I feel like it's extractive. But I guess, is the solution to combine it all, or is the solution to actually educate people that they don't need all this?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Priya. And that's kind of what we've seen after talking with so many women. So we interviewed 50 one-on-one and we surveyed over 1,200. And what we've been hearing specifically is that beauty, well, first of all, beauty is such a loaded term and they have emotional friction with the relationship with the industry. And so they want to wear less, but all of the brands are saying, here's an additional step and an additional product to put onto your face. And so how we think about it is putting some of these healthy ingredients into what they're already doing, which is their morning makeup regimen. And they've told us that their number one value proposition that they look for when shopping for beauty is to minimize steps. And so they still want to have that involvement, but we want them to have healthier relationships and help them show up each and every day, however they are in that moment. And so when we look at combining, we're really intentional about putting ingredients, clean ingredients into and active ingredients into their formulas that makes sense for their skin and the health of their skin without adding a bunch of extra steps or extra ingredients that is, at the end of the day, to your point, something that they aren't looking to do and that they are having a difficult relationship with.
So I'm a skincare junkie, but I'm not like so much of like a makeup person. So I was interested in understanding like a couple, like maybe a twofold question. One, who is your ideal customer? Is it the girl who has the full coverage face, the BB cream? And then 2, how are you going to then, I guess, kind of solve that problem for them when it comes to their skin problems, if makeup has been a cause for that, or is that maybe not even the issue that or the problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, great question. So really quickly on the makeup. So our makeup is non-comedogenic and it is, so that means it doesn't clog your pores and it is clean and vegan. So it's not going to add that additional problems that perhaps they have seen in the past with some of the makeups that are right, that are pore clogging, et cetera. But in terms of our customer, so our customer isn't the junkie, is not the beauty junkie. And really this is like more of the majority of the typical beauty consumer isn't this beauty junkie. And so specifically what we found from our customers, they already shop for beauty online. They really appreciate the convenience of doing that. As well, they're light researchers. So they don't want to do a bunch of research into ingredients themselves. They really, however, they like to try new products and trust recommendations, quick recommendations from a friend or someone that they follow on social media that they can trust. And then as well, there's a lot of like psychographics that we've done in terms of understanding our customer, but they are looking for makeup that benefits their skin. So they've already started to go down this path of how can I create a healthier skin without adding a bunch of additional steps. And then additionally, our customer is 18 to 39. It's that sweet spot being the older Gen Z, younger millennial in their mid 20s that is kind of starting to think about the health of their skin as they go forward in their life.
Hey, Whitney, great job. You mentioned two things that really caught my attention. First, you talked about a micro influencer strategy to get the word out. Secondly, you talked about use of proceeds for this competition would help you get your first 500 customers. Talk to me about how you're going to get your first, 50 customers. Like, what does that process look like, and what are you thinking about? How are you thinking about getting your happy early customers to tell other people about this?
Yeah, of course. So just really quickly, because I know we're running out of time, yeah, so our first 50 customers, so we actually have already started to build that through our wait list of over 1,280 customers that are waiting to hear about when we launch, as well as those 50 customers that were within our beta cohort that have already started to become early brand advocates.
Sorry, I have to cut us off. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I know, maybe you can follow up over chat, but
yes, definitely.
Great job, and sorry to cut you off, but wonderful job. And I'm excited to be a customer because I have too many beauty products too. All right, next, we're going to invite Clarissa back. So Clarissa, if you're ready to go, let's get Mural City back on here.
Okay. Can you see me?
We can see your slides and we can see you. You're ready whenever.
Mural City is a photo and video editing app that gives travel trips to inner city youth and kids. At 12 years old, I discovered that my passion for art was real and I wanted to learn more about it. At 17 years old, I traveled to Paris, France to learn about French culture, art, and language. I'm a graphic designer and a content curator from Houston, Texas. On Valentine's Day of this year, I launched Mural City app to give content curators fun murals. In June of this year, I had a desire to introduce a give back platform to inner city youth and kids for travel experiences. This is Amber. Amber lives on the south side of Chicago, where kids her age don't experience walking tours, museum visits, and travel trips. Inner city kids are the most at risk for being high school dropouts, youth incarceration, teen pregnancies, and youth deaths. Mural City app wants to help solve this problem by introducing 500 plus exclusive mirrors by partnering with brands to give back. Through inspirational and important messages, mirrors are collaborated. These visual images can be shared across multiple media threads. Mural City app has two business models. One is business partnerships, and one is individual brands. Mural City app works by simply when a user selects their background, they choose a mirror, and they save and share their mirror, and Mural City gets back. Mural City will use app store optimization, social media marketing, media strategy to grow Mural City. We will target Gen Z as our targeted market. The app has a monthly subscription, a yearly subscription, and the price for 12 mirrors would be $2,000 for brands. Mirror City, we use acquisition strategy to grow Mirror City. Mirror City, in analyzing our competitors, I noticed that neither one has a give back model, only a background remover feature. I'm supported by my amazing mentor, and with my experience with nonprofits and upbringing in inner city neighborhood qualifies me. $20,000 from TechRise will fund new app features, app marketing, and business growth. I believe that the travel experiences that Mirror City provides will give children a fresh vision and inspire exploration for amazing things on the road. Thank you.
Thanks, Clarissa. It's time for the judges to come on and ask some questions. If you want to turn your presentation off, that would be great. Perfect. Thanks. Stephen, you look ready. Go ahead.
Clarissa, I'm thinking back to your story and you know, when you were 17 and you went to Paris, like that was such a life-changing experience. Tell me about the future vision for users of this app and how you think you can, you know, better their lives immediately just through the palm of their hands.
So yes. So when designing this app, I wanted to give users fun mirrors and just fun experiences. So when they're so actually during the pandemic is when I discovered this app, and people were like, I guess users were bored and didn't have anything to do. I wanted them to go on the app and just change their backgrounds out and share.
Awesome.
Janine, you want to go next?
Yes. Do you have, how many customers do you have to date?
Because we're using a template for our app, and because of limited funding, we only have 103 users. We don't have any subscribers yet because of the errors in the app. So in need of funding is major, but we are ranked in 13 countries. 30 countries, and we reach the top 200 for our category 13 times.
Great. Can you share more about how you would go about acquiring more customers and kind of how long you think they would continue to use this and essentially the business model behind it?
So yes, I would love to use those strategies that I talked about in and out by going after social media marketing to reach Gen Z, media, press, to reach those customers, our targeted customers.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Clarissa. And our final competitor of the day is Zap Life. So we have Cassandra Hinnen joining us.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey. It looks like you're good to go.
Thank you. All right, think Clubhouse, Zoom, and Cash App just had a baby. I'm Cassie. I'm co-founder and CEO of Zap Life, a social experience for the creator economy. Music has been an integral part of my life ever since I was little. In grammar school, we sang every day. High school, I did musical theater. In college, I was a music and education major. While I didn't pursue music as a career, I will always support musicians, artists, and other creators. When the world shut down, so did the income stream of, one survey found, 95% of artists. $4.7 billion in losses in Chicago's creative industries alone. Not only was income lost, but the meaningful connections with people seemed to be lost. Many people found themselves isolated and lonely. One night, a few weeks into the shutdown, my girlfriend's group text was going crazy over DJ D Nice's IG Live. But there were a few things that we noticed. One, viewers were sending emojis such as drinks, but there was no value attached. Two, my friends were blowing up the chat, but we couldn't see each other enjoying the party. And then lastly, people wanted to show their appreciation through tips, but there was no easy way to do that. That's when we decided to give birth to Zap Life. With Zap Life, you can do all these things and more. Now, the live streaming market is growing at 21%, and in North America, it's over $82 billion. We plan to reach 10% of the market by leveraging relationships of our partners who include hip hop legend Jim Jones and radio morning host DJ MB. We have over 100 creators on our platform and 8,000 users. Through the events that they have hosted, as well as the direct messaging outreach that we've done over Twitter and Instagram. So if you think Instagram had Instagram, wouldn't it have propelled a little bit faster? Our sister company is Zap Theory. It's a crypto company, crypto and NFT platform that makes all tokens social. Zap Theory creators exclusively use Zap Life for meet and greets with the NFT and token holders. The reason being, no other platform does all the things we do in one place. What really sets us apart is the ability to see the audience in a unique layout. How does it work? Creators sign in and create an event. Their followers receive a notification. Creators can choose to charge entry, or it can be free. And for the user, they can come to the platform and search events that they might be interested in attending. An in-app purchase allows for virtual gifts to be sent as micro tips, not only to the creators, but also to the attendees. To generate revenue, we currently receive 20 to 30% of entry fees and all transactions of virtual gifts. And we're building out a space for sponsorships right now. And we're raising funds to build a subscription option. We're raising $2 million to further development, as well as execute our go-to-market strategy. And with the features built, we're expecting that we'll break even within 2 years. The next version of our app will feature focus on groups and communities, as well as offer a booking feature, beginning with DJs because of the relationship that we have with DJ MB, and the option to subscribe. Our diverse team includes Barry Johnson, who has a specialty in building social apps, including Loom for independent artists. And after college, I jumped into business and have thrived with building and training teams. We're excited about what we've built so far, but we're ecstatic about where we're headed. We believe that shifting the focus to community building will catapult our venture. And this is how we Zap Life.
Great job, Cassie. And as a mom, I have to say I love the background noise. So please don't let it distract you or be worried about it.
I was like, just keep going.
Judges, you got this. Priya, you want to go first?
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. Can you just share a little bit more about kind of where you're at in the development of this and how where the use of funds would go?
Absolutely. So we are currently in beta phase. So the app is being used by members at this moment, and we're iterating. We're in the iteration for the first full version, and the funds will go to our second version, which will build out the feature for booking, as well as the feature for the other one for booking and sponsorships.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, subscriptions. Currently, we're building out the space for the sponsorships right now.
Cassie, great job. My particular question is in relation to the streaming feature about friends being able to see each other and like attendees being able to see each other. If I remember correctly, like DJ Nice at one point had like 100,000 attendees or viewers within his live stream. How do you go about managing that with the amount of people based on, an artist's popularity?
Great question. Yeah, so the bottom section of the screen where you saw the four boxes actually rotates. So we call that the dance floor. So that allows us to see different people in the audience at a certain time. And then we also have a VIP feature, so you can book a room with just your friends.
Cassie, very excited about what you guys are doing. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this space. Live streaming apps are certainly like pretty hard, especially in a world where now people are coming back into in real life events. What evidence have you guys found early that that this app would be able to survive the transition back to a world where people want to go to concerts or want to go to real dance floors, not just digital ones?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So we found that live events are not, because of the option with Zoom, a lot of places and events are doing hybrids. And we feel that this model allows people to really be engaged and more connected in this hybrid space. So a DJ can actually be in the club, plug in to Zap Life and Zap Life DJ, as well as in-person DJ, which opens it up to the world.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question, or Cassie, if you want to add any additional thoughts. Okay, well, wonderful job. Judges, I'll let you go to the breakout room and choose a winner. So you have about 10 minutes, hopefully 12 minutes maybe. And now I will introduce our guest, who is a personal friend. Suzanne Munchin is going to join us from Bonfire. She is the co-founder and CEO. She's also a clinical professor at the Kellogg School of Management and is best known for teaching Selling Yourself and Your Ideas, a course designed with Professor Craig Wortman. Suzanne is on stage, is the onstage host of TEDx Chicago and co-hosts the popular podcast, The Big Payoff, with her Bonfire co-founder and longtime business partner, Rachel Bello. And Suzanne is a leader in Chicago's entrepreneurship community, having been part of building the brands and social impact strategies for some of the city's most well-known organizations and initiatives, including 1871 Matter, Impact Engine, and P33. So it's so great to have you here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here and just listening to the pitches again. Just this is what it's all about, right? Being in it and making your dreams a reality. And, you know, the nervous energy of that, you and I both know really well. And it just takes a lot to put yourself out there, and asking for money is a skill that I think a lot of us need to develop. And I wish we would teach it to all of our next gen, because it's everything. It's everything, because you're asking somebody to bet on you. And that's a big thing.
It's so true. And I know this is a woman focused week, and you have a woman focused business. And we've known each other for like 11 years now, which is crazy. And I think as women, we often struggle in any of our careers to ask for what we deserve and what our ideas deserve. And so I'm completely with you that this is a first step forward. It takes a lot of courage to be on this kind of platform to put your ideas out there, but hopefully they see this as the beginning of a really long and wonderful journey for them. So speaking of, you've been an impact brand expert for years. We first met when you were giving me advice on Give Forward when I was going through the precursor of Techstars. So it's amazing to see how your career has evolved. And it would be great if you could share kind of why you decided to start Bonfire.
Sure.
And more about it.
Yeah. So Bonfire is a talent development accelerator for this generation, this meaning the women who are in front of us now, the rising generation of women in the workforce. We are watching an evolution right now, and a revolution, to be honest. And even as we return to work post-COVID, what we know, what you know, what I know, Desiree, is that work isn't working for women. And it hasn't been working for a long time. It's not just post-COVID or pre-COVID. Work doesn't work for women. It hasn't been working because it wasn't designed for us. Work was designed for men, by men, for an era in which women stayed at home. So we've been asking for changes for a long, long time, and they haven't happened at any kind of scale. And in particular for women of color and for women who are in under-resourced communities, work doesn't work. So I've been watching that happen. You've been watching that happen. And the solutions, as I was seeing them unfold, particularly in 2016 and 2017, when the Me Too movement was reaching its full volume, seemed to be focused, from where I sat, at the wrong part of the workplace pyramid. A lot of the responses were, well, let's put more women in the C-suite, or let's put more women on corporate boards. And that felt to me like, I don't need more support. I don't need more of me, or more me's on corporate boards, or you. really where culture is built is at the base of the pyramid and in the middle of the pyramid. That's where culture of work is built. And culture is built by people, right? Culture doesn't shape people, people shape culture. So why aren't we equipping the people who are most likely to shape the culture of the future of work with the knowledge and skills and tools that they need to do so? So that's what we really went after with Bonfire, was what would the curriculum look like to really give women, all women, by the way, because we know that women aren't diversity. There's a diversity of women. What would it look like to give them the knowledge and the skills and the networks to really reshape the workplace of the future? And I'll end by just saying, Bonfire is an enterprise model, right? We ask employers to pay for their women to come to us, either in a cohort 6-month training or in our online program, because they need to be accountable. If we just asked women to pay for this, we aren't holding employers responsible. So we've been doing this since 2019. We've put now thousands of women through this. We made it through COVID, not easily, by the skin of our teeth, and we're still at it, so.
Well, congratulations on having such impact already in just 2 years. And, as you were talking, I was realizing how many similarities there are between Bonfire and what we're trying to do with TechRise. And, we inverse the mental metaphor and talk about the funnel. But, when we were first talking about how do we make change for Black and Latinx, and in particular, Black and Latinx women, there's a conversation around, well, we need more Black and Latinx unicorns. But to your point, that only solves a problem for a few people and makes it look like the city's checking the box. Right. But really the change happens when you increase the pipeline and create more qualified candidates for anything. So, and we also agree that, corporations are our partners in solving this problem. And it can't just happen at the HR department. It has to happen throughout. And so, for corporate sponsorship is crucial to what we do also. And I think Chicago's really showing that it's stepping up. But I don't know if you were able to join us for the opening sequence, but one of the things that we've discovered in some of our Crunchbase data is that while the amount of funding going for Black and Latinx founders at the earliest stages in Chicago is going up, it's going down significantly, like by 2/3 for women.
Yes.
And so, we have this burden now as a community, I think, to identify what is going on here. Is it just COVID? Are we just stepping out of the workforce? Clearly I'm going off script as usual, but I'm curious, what do you think
is going on?
What is going on? Let's look back, 18 months and say what's going on, but what do you think we need to do then to overcome the last 18 months? Because it feels like we step back as women, by a decade in some ways. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are.
It continues to be shocking. And I do think that we continue to take sort of 3 steps forward, check the box, and then no, actually, let's go back to the pool, right? And so I have a couple of theories, and one of them is we cannot be what we cannot see. And that continues to be true, which is why what you're doing matters so, so much. Until we get more women, and you've said this, I've said this, Amanda Leonard had said this, now we have Christy Ross, but we can't, until we see more examples of women breaking through, the funders get skittish, right? And so they fund what they see. So there's that. But honestly, I think there's a bigger issue at hand, which is when I go in front of rooms where I'm in a raise right now. So that's an example of it. I'm going to be really transparent.
Great.
If you say if I talk about what Bonfire's up to, I understand what my valuation is, and I understand what my valuation is as a SaaS. I understand what my valuation is on the multiple. I understand what I'm asking them to invest in, and it is not oh, that's so nice that you're doing that for women. But unless you feel what I'm doing, you're going to look at Bonfire as a nice thing to invest in that I'm doing from here. And I think people still put businesses founded by women in this strange category of, well, only part of our portfolio can really tolerate that kind of risk. It's like, what kind of risk?
Yeah.
I'm not starting a business because it's out of the goodness of my heart. I'm starting a business because impact and scale are aligned, which is good for you. Yeah. So we just can't get this message out. And the dollars are very, very heavy flow right now. And why they're not flowing to women,
I know we have this.
It's like I'm a words person and I cannot get the words out. The last thing I'm going to say is I think that we have to ask for more. And that's part of the thing that I came on here when I started out saying the skills that you're teaching here, which is that we have to teach women to ask. And if we don't ask, one of my mentors early on was Richard Saul Worman, who is the founder of TED before he sold it to Chris Anderson. And when I was in my 20s, Richard said something to me that I will never, ever forget. And to this day, I repeat it as often as I can everywhere I go, which is, you don't ask, you don't get. And if we don't learn to ask for what we deserve, what we want, what we need, we don't get.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm sorry that you're in the process of fundraising, because in some ways, it's a really wonderful process. You get to share your vision and fall back in love with your product, and your team comes together and you get to celebrate the successes. But the vast majority of the time you spend trying to convince people who don't want to see the opportunity that this is a massive opportunity, and especially true for Chicago, and especially true as a woman. So I don't envy what you're going through right now, but I can completely relate. And one of the pieces of advice that I got that I still hate to this day, and it's from someone that I love and very much appreciate their advice, is that why are you raising so much money? We haven't seen a lot of women raise that much money. You should raise less and prove out your metrics so then you can go raise more. And no one ever is able to prove out their metrics with too little money. And so what we do is we create these anemic businesses run by women that cannot actually get to the next milestone. And we've done the same thing to our Black and Latinx founders, just often at an earlier stage. And then they're like, go make a miracle happen. So my question to you then is, are you spending your time raising money locally, or are you going to the coast?
So I did, this is my fourth round, not in terms of series. I did a seed round, and then I did a bridge round during COVID, and then I did a seed extension, and then this is another seed extension. This will be my last.
Speak in my language.
Because, you raise as little as you can so that you're not giving up equity, because I will not be that woman, right? I don't need to give away more equity than I need to at any given point in time. Then I will ideally a year from now move to Series A, right? So this is how I'm doing it right now. And at this moment in time, this round will be a West Coast, but not a fund. I only have 2 funds right now on my cap table because I don't want to give up the equity. And to be honest, I'm not ready for West Coast funds yet, but this is a West Coast individual. So it's like a bridge into that world, but it is a woman who is taking almost the entire round. She is a high power female executive and is a strategic investment partner who is also bringing in business. I'll tell you a great quick story about her. She was so passionate about our product that as she was coming in and getting to know it, she loves us so hard that she sold a Bonfire membership, which is $5,000, to an employer to send a woman to Bonfire after the cycle had already started. In other words, like to pay the full price to send one of his women who had already missed several pieces of, she was like, no, you have to send people.
That's amazing.
Like, thank you.
Well, and I think what you're tapping into is part of the solution. And that is that as Bonfire is successful in helping the next generation of leaders be more successful in their careers, earn more money, they are going to be the angel investors of tomorrow, and they're going to invest differently. And we're going to seed and accelerate companies of a variety of founder types. So we are at the end of our time, and I probably didn't do the best job of asking all the Bonfire questions I should have, but Suzanne, it was so great having you here. Thank you for representing women in the way that you do and elevating women in their power locally and nationally. And we wish you the best of luck.
I'm proud of you. And honestly, like without our, you and I often talk about the sisterhood in Chicago, and it feels small at times, but it's moments like this where I watch you do what is yours to do. I do what's mine to do. And I think together we really do stand up for a much larger set of voices and diversity in Chicago and beyond, by the way. So thank you so much. High five. And this is how we do it, right? And I really hope that all the women on here see this in action. And when I joked on LinkedIn, I said, I had said to my assistant, this is a crazy period of time. Bonfire's in a fund fundraising round. I'm teaching at Kellogg in the middle of my quarter, but I was like, if Desiree asks, just tell her yes.
Thank you. Well, with that, we're over on time, so I want to announce these winners. So thank you all. Thank you so much, Suzanne, and I'll follow up with you separately. And then founders come back to the stage, and then who's announcing the winner?
I am.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so first of all, everyone did an amazing job presenting. It was a really tough decision, and we enjoyed it all too. Like, your passion came through. So congrats to everybody. But the winner is going to be Anna DeShawn with the Qube. And I think we all just felt like, you know, this is a big need. You have a real good business model behind it. And also you just exude both kind of expertise. Like, we believe you've got what it takes to build this. And we're really excited that this $20,000 can be a catalytic piece of your story in building this business.
Man, thank you so much. Wow. What a way to go into the weekend. I'm definitely carving these pumpkins for the Halloween, giving out a lot of candy. Thank you so much for believing in what we're building. I'm excited about it. And this is going to be a huge catalyst for us. So thank you so much.
Congratulations, Anna, and congratulations to all the founders. You did an excellent job, and we know that this takes courage, and we're super proud of you. We can't wait to have you back on. And to our judges, thank you for spending some of your time and your expertise with us. And then, as always, thank you to Verizon, and then a special thank you today to Get Cities and Comcast for making this prize possible. So we will see you all next week. We do only have a few weeks left before the end of this year, but our applications are rolling. So anyone you know that is a founder in the Chicagoland and actually all of Illinois, come and apply at techrise.co/apply, and we will see you all next week. Thanks so much.